How far is Mahoraga making it in One Punch Man? Let's talk about it. All right, first of all, shout out to Josue for asking me this today, and y'all can pause to read the full extent of the question here. But essentially, how is Mahoraga going to fare in this universe? And could he ever feasibly stand up to the likes of a Saitama or a Garo, right? So let's break this down. And first and foremost, Mahoraga can adapt to any and all phenomena. So there's nothing within the realm of One Punch Man that he can't feasibly adapt to. Okay, that's his whole toolkit, right? He can adapt to literally anything. So as far as that goes, he's okay. But we know that Maharaga's one glaring weakness, if we can even call it that, is to be just completely destroyed by something before he ever even gets the chance to adapt to it, because his adaptation is not instantaneous. He needs some sort of exposure to a thing, and then and only then can he start to adapt to it. So his biggest concern is avoiding end all attacks before he's had a chance to experience that thing to adapt to it. So with that being the case, Mahoraga is in trouble because the scaling in One Punch Man goes absolutely crazy compared to Jujutsu Kaisen. There are going to be so many different characters that will be able to just wipe Mahoraga off the face of the earth before he ever has a chance to adapt. Here we have a ranking system of the threats within One Punch Man. It goes from Wolf, which is the weakest, all the way up to God level threat, which is the strongest. And I think we only need to go to about Demon to find some people that would be able to defeat Mahoraga. Because as you can see, they represent threats to an entire city or its functionality. So if you're packing destructive power or at least abilities that are capable of wiping out cities, then you're capable of wiping out Mahoraga. Realistically, I think somebody like Seeking could defeat Mahoraga. Now, would Seeking? Probably not, because I don't think he would figure out Mahoraga's gimmick before it was too late, and Mahoraga would largely be adapted to anything he could throw at him. But he does have the potential destructive power to do it if he knew what he was getting into. So certainly any of the dragon level threats would be able to make short work of Mahoraga. But part of Josue's question was, could Mahoraga reach this level? Like, could he adapt to the point where he was on par with them in terms of his strength, durability, and speed? And absolutely, because he can adapt to any and all phenomena, right? So assuming that the pace of the fight went in such a way that he was able to adapt and scale with them, he could reach this level and even beyond, right? Because that's how Mahoraga works. But realistically, would that happen? No, because they're far too strong and they will just wipe Mahoraga off the face of existence before he can adapt. But assuming they were intentionally trying to draw out Mahoraga's strength, kind of like Sukuna in the Shibuya fight, then he could reach these levels. Honestly, Saitama himself might be the most interesting theoretical matchup for Mahoraga in this verse, because we know that he doesn't really take most threats seriously. Meaning if he stumbles across Mahoraga, he's not just going to put his all into one punch to destroy him right off bat, right? I know his name is One Punch Man, but you guys know what I mean. And on top of that, we know that Saitama's own strength kind of scales exponentially in response to what's necessary, in response to his opponent, like we saw against Garo, right? So if Saitama and Mahoraga fought and he wasn't taking him seriously, thus giving Mahoraga to start adapting to his physicality immediately, and Saitama's strength only grows as the battle goes on, which gives Mahoraga time to grow in response to that as the battle goes on, then Mahoraga could probably reach some pretty scary levels to the point where he would probably be on par with other dragon level threats in One Punch Man. And then finally, Josue also asked me if I thought Gojo would be an S rank hero in One Punch Man, and I do think so. He obviously scales much lower than them in terms of his destructive power and his physical stats, but the Infinity puts him on par with everyone else, because sure, maybe some characters would be able to bypass it, but the vast majority of the verse would not be able to do anything to Gojo. And at least with Unlimited Void, he has a win condition against most people himself. So yeah, I think he would be an easy S grade.